Now I feel like, what if I have something in my teeth the whole time? I have a mirror, but I don't want to get up. Fuck it, we ball. Alright. Hey guys. I'm sitting on my floor and I'm drinking a glass of Snoop Dogg's rosé wine. I just thought that I would sit down and chat about some stuff with you guys. I have been wanting to talk about this stuff for a long time because I get messages all the time that, like, when I talk about specific things or things like the things I'm going to talk about today, it helps other people and it makes other people feel good and feel less alone. And that is such an amazing thing, and it's such an amazing feeling. And when somebody tells me that they were inspired by like something I said, I literally, it's the biggest compliment ever. I just love knowing that I'm helping other people because I 1000% am so grateful for everybody who helped me when I was struggling. And now I'm kind of coming out the other side of it. I'm able to look back and kind of think about all the people and all the words and the thoughts that kept me going. So I just felt like talking about this stuff is so important. And I'm a big believer in just conversating and talking, and I feel like listening to each other is like so important. We can gather so much insight from each other just from sitting and listening to each other, and it's like an amazing, perfect experience to learn and to just step into somebody else's shoes, or just, you know, note it down in your head for the future, and maybe in the future you'll remember, you know, when someone talked about it or when you heard about it before, whatever it is, and it can help you. But anyways, we're ready to go. If you follow me on social media, if you know me at all, or, you know, are familiar with me at all, you probably know that I have talked about and spoken about and commented on my breakup that was about 9 months ago. I've made a few podcast episodes. I made one on like detaching and feeling like you're going backwards and feeling like, you know, whatever comes with detachment from someone. I also recorded an episode one time about I think how to be alone, and I don't know if that was when we were in the relationship or after. I can 1000% say that the past few months have been so transformative, and I know people like throw that word around all the time, like, but it's like literally, like, I learned so much, not only about other people and like life lessons, but also just like learning about myself. It's just been so crazy. It's just been so crazy. And I just feel like I want to share some of that knowledge and experience with you guys. If you hear my dogs barking, I apologize. There's nothing I can do about that. If you're not familiar with my situation, which I don't really expect people to be, I was in a relationship for about 2 years. I say about, it was fully 2 years. It was a little over 2 years. I'm 21 now. When we got into that relationship, I had just turned 18. Just keep that in mind, because I'm gonna tell you it was serious, but it was like serious to an 18, 19, 20-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, we did everything together, spent a lot of time together. I traveled with him, he traveled with me. I spent holidays with his family, and he spent holidays with my family. We worked at the same job for a few months. Sometimes I forget about that. I was like crazy. We worked at Ulta. He worked at Ulta with me. That was actually such an iconic moment. But we just fucking did everything together. He's my best friend. Like, one of those relationships. He was my best friend. I don't know if I was his best friend, but I mean, we were together at the hip all the time. He stayed the entire winter break with me when we first started dating, the first year, and then the year after that, I stayed with him and his family for winter break. No, he stayed with us, but I went and traveled with him. This past summer, right before we broke up, he stayed with my family the entire summer. Like, he lived here pretty much, and he worked here. So it was like that. Our parents knew how, like, serious we were, and, like, they were really cool about, like, letting him stay here and us spending so much time together. I mean, I had already turned 18, so I know some parents still are strict with their kids even after they turn 18, but my parents were always just, like, the type to be, like, to, like, suggest things and, like, give me their opinion, but never be like, no, you can't do this. Not, like, after I turned 18, it was, like, you could tell if they didn't really approve, but they never really, like, they just let me do my own thing. We spent so much time together, and, we ended up breaking up because he cheated a few times. Not just once, not just twice, honestly not just 3 times. Girl, he cheated. And I actually stayed with him the first few times he did, and I stayed another year with him after I found out he cheated. I stayed like another full year. When they say that once a cheater, always a cheater, they're right. Lesson learned, right? So that happened, and then, like, the last time, it was the last time, and I broke up with him, and that was 9 months ago. That was in August, and it's now May. Where the fuck has the time gone? I don't even know. That was my experience, and this video, I don't want it to be as much about him and, like, that relationship as I do just, like, the aftermath, my experience, and my life right now, and all the things I'm doing and feeling, and yeah, hold that thought. My dogs sound so vicious, and I swear they're not. I honestly, for the past few months, have been having this reoccurring thought and realization and overall feeling that, like, I am just so at peace. And I don't even know how to, like, describe that, but it's like I'll be sitting or I'll just be doing something and I'm like, oh my god, almost like this is where I'm supposed to be. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Almost like this moment, my environment, everything is resonating with me right now. My feelings are resonating with me right now. My thoughts are resonating with me right now. Everything is just kind of, like, clicking together. And I just always feel so calm and, like, grateful. It's just like this, like, immense feeling of gratitude and just peace. It'll be like me going on a walk. Like, I'll be walking, and then just suddenly I just feel this, like, just, like, peace. Or sometimes I'll be sitting in my bed and I'll be watching TV. I'll be eating a meal I cooked, and I'll just feel so at peace. Or I'll be, you know, with my friends or with my family, and I'll be talking to them. Literally, I could just be, like, observing my environment and just looking around me, and I'm, like, so at peace. And when I tell you guys, I have never felt that feeling before in my life. Before maybe, like, February. I never knew what that felt like. And when me and my ex broke up, initially, of course, like, I was hurt and in so much pain for so long. And it still does hurt from time to time. But, you know, there was a feeling of, like, relief. And I definitely felt it as soon as we broke up. But I was fighting so many negative thoughts still and negative feelings. And I've just felt so lost and confused. And I was still trying to figure out how the fuck to go about my daily life and how to be alone and how to literally exist without him. And as dramatic as it sounds, when you're deep in a relationship like that, especially when you're young, it's like you get so used to being with them, you literally feel like you don't know what you would do when they're not there. And then when they're not there, it's literally like there are times where you feel like, what the fuck am I supposed to do right now? And obviously I got through that, but it wasn't until a few months ago that, like, I really started to feel so peaceful. It's almost like a reassuring feeling that I made the right choice and that everything happened the way that it was supposed to. I still deal with, missing him, and I don't look for him in other people, but there are things about him that I know I want to be in my next boyfriend. The certain things that he did or how he acted, I want those qualities to be in my next boyfriend or my next partner. I just remind myself of why I made the decision, and I don't necessarily think about exactly what he did because I did enough of that already. Like, I literally did enough of sitting and thinking about him cheating on me already. Like, I don't need to do that anymore. But I will remind myself, why I made that decision in the first place. And then it kind of sets me back on track, and I'm like, yeah, like, this is so right. I came back home from school about 3 weeks ago. Has it been 3 weeks? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? Whatever. I was a little emotional when I first got home. As odd as it is, because I've lived here since I was 10, I think, and I'm 21 now. I was emotional getting home because I was just remembering last summer and us spending the entire summer together, and I spent days before our summer started getting my room together and rearranging things so he had room to put his stuff in here. I was just thinking about how different it was going to be, how different this summer was going to look, how I'm like just in a completely different place than I was last year. That was honestly a little bit of a difficult adjustment. It's my first summer without him in 3 years. We started dating in August of 2020, but we had started talking at the beginning of that summer, so 3 summers I, had him in my life and FaceTimed him and flirted with him and hung out with him and, like, all that stuff. There was a part of me that was honestly a little bit nervous about having my own room back to myself and having my space back to myself and having total control over my space again. And I think it was a little bit daunting to think about. But the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it's been, I think it's been 3 weeks. I keep saying 2 weeks. It's been 3 weeks for sure. But the past 3 weeks have been so almost exactly what I could have imagined, but also not what I could have imagined. I mean, you can never fully 100% imagine how things are going to go and, predict how things are going to end up. But I knew I was going to spend a lot of time in my own energy and with my family and my dogs. And I knew it was going to be a lot more of a grounding summer. And that is exactly what it's been. When I tell you guys that that's exactly what I needed, one thing I struggled with when we broke up was feeling like I didn't know how to come back to myself. Like, I had to keep reminding myself that I was an entire person before we started dating and that I'm gonna be an entire person when we break up. That was something I had to consistently remind myself. And when we were together, actually, I would think, I would have those fears. They were genuinely fears when we were together that, like, we would break up one day and I would have to figure out a new routine without him, a new day without him, a new life without him. And that was just really scary to think about. And so that was something I struggled with when we broke up. So, even 9 months later, there are still little things that I'll do or that will pop up in my life. And I think about him and I think about how different it is now. My parents got this patio set of furniture last summer, in the beginning of the summer, probably around this time in May. And so the whole summer we would, when they were done with work, like on the weekends usually, and I came back from work and my ex came back from work, we would all come back and then we would hang out outside. We would all just drink together, chill, and talk and just hang out, and it was so much fun. We'd have a little fire going. There were times that I was at work and I'd come back and my ex was already outside in the back talking with my parents and hanging out with them. Those moments felt so perfect, like movie moments. That was another thing that crossed my mind when, my summer started and I started hanging out with them back there, and I was like just thinking about how he would be back there with us talking and laughing and just how it feels like there's a piece missing And even though I've had those thoughts and I've you know, let them pass and whatever, it feels so comfortable. It feels so comfortable being in my own space and doing those things that I thought was gonna feel so different. And I never could have imagined that, like, especially, like, sometimes I'll think about, like, my life a year ago today. And although I had that little, I always had that little feeling in the back of my head, like, that little thought, like, what if, everything could end tomorrow? Like, I thought we were so good to go. And we were working on everything, and we were only going uphill, and everything was gonna be fine. I thought we were secure. And I was just so swept up in the love and the affection and the attention. And I got so comfortable in that feeling for those 2 years that we were together. In those 2 years, I just dug myself so deeply into a hole of just, like, his comfort and his presence, and just getting so used to that. And the past 9 months has literally just been a journey of me becoming my own person again. And codependence was actually something I struggled with when we were dating, like, the first year. It was something that, like, me and him talked about, because I felt like I had no friends. Like, I felt like I didn't want to hang out with anyone except him, and, like, it was a whole thing. But especially when we broke up at first, I was like, what happens now? When I tell you guys, they say, take it day by day. Literally, take it day by day. This is not like a breakup help video at all. I mean, maybe it will help you, but that's just what it was for the first few months, for sure. The first few months, it was like, take it day by day, because the emotions were out of whack, for sure. January rolled around, and February rolled around, and at that point, I was like, hey, I may have been crying a lot the past few months, and I may have been an emotional fucking wreck, but holy shit, I've been away from him for the past 3 months, 4 months. I haven't talked to him in the past few, weeks, months. I haven't hung out with him in months. You kind of start to realize, like, okay, even though I spent that time, like, low-key crying and, like, being a mess and, like, missing him, I low-key got some independence back. Like, I low-key am more independent now because I've been alone and I've been sitting with my feelings and my thoughts. And, like, that's what I started to realize in January and February. And it kind of gave me, like, this momentum to, like, build off that. And I'm like, yeah, I've been really fucking hurt and sad, and I probably haven't been making the best decisions. I wasn't making the best decisions. I'm like, dude, I started my new life. Like, as dramatic as it sounds, I started my new life without him. Past few weekends, instead of, I would have normally gone out and hung out with him if it was last year or something. The past few weekends, I've been hanging out with my friends. I've been watching Netflix movies and having little binge fests and loving it and crying and feeling my feelings and loving it. Eating chocolate and loving it. That's what I started to realize. And I was like, oh my god, I'm doing this shit alone. I'm figuring out this shit alone. Whereas before, if I was hurt or bothered by something, the first person I went to was him. But instead now, I've just been, like, coddling myself without even realizing it. Honestly, as soon as I started to think about that, I was like, bitch, it almost like it built self-confidence. And I was like, hold on, let me just become my own best friend real quick. Like, let me just really start to be alone. And that's exactly what I started doing. I took my first cycling class at the end of February, and I loved it. I was alone, didn't know anybody, didn't meet anybody except, like, the instructor. I had the best time. I actually started crying during it because it was so healing. I started crying because I just, like, it felt so good, and it was something that I've wanted to do for a while. I literally started crying. I got emotional during the class. I was in the back, like, nobody saw me, but yeah. And then after that, I kept going for, like, I think I went to, like, probably 6 or 7 more classes after that until the end of the semester. But things like that I started doing, and I started to go to, like, the local bookstore that we have that, like, everybody loves in my college town. I started going there alone, and I would, like, bring my homework and, like, sit down and grab, like, a fucking piece of cheesecake or like a slice of coffee cake and sit down and do my homework by myself. And I would go on walks. I went on walks around campus. Like, I just started gaining this trust in myself. And I'm like, dude, I have literally taken care of myself so much since, you know, we broke up. And I'm doing so much better. And I actually healed more than I realized. Because I let myself sit and I let myself think about those things. And I let myself feel my feelings. And then I just started realizing that, like, there was never anything to be worried about when it came to being alone or not having him in my life. I was so scared and it was so daunting for so long, especially when we were together. Think about a life after him or without him. And it's literally so much better than I could have even imagined. I've gotten, like, so many more blessings have come into my life. You know, things that I didn't even expect would have even happened. I 100% believe that by letting go of something that was bringing negativity into my life and not serving a purpose in my life that is good for my higher self, I think by letting that go, I opened up a door or like a channel for like so many blessings and good things. You know, like when people say like, oh, you're blocking your blessings, you know, I was doing that in a way. You know, when you're vibrating at a low frequency, when you're doing things that don't actually resonate with you, something that really hurts or doesn't align with your subconscious, like, you know, like you're not all balanced, you know something's up, you're not feeling completely at peace, you're vibrating at a low frequency. So your vibration is low. And when your vibration is low, you can't attract high vibrational things. You are only going to attract those low vibrational things. So by staying in a relationship where I was not being treated how I desire and know I can be treated, I was only allowing the things that I did think I deserved because I stayed in that relationship. So I thought I deserved everything that I was getting. So that's just what kept coming at me, was more pain and hurt and disrespect and, you know, lies and deceit and manipulation. Like, I was allowing myself to go through those cycles. So that's just what kept coming back at me. And so when I finally let that go, as hard as that was, and y'all, it was hard. It was hard. Breakups are a bitch. It was so hard. I think because of how hard it was and because of how strong I had to be to let that go and be open to new things and receiving new things, the universe rewarded me in so many different ways. The universe was like, okay, like, we love the self-love, like, blessing, blessing. And I have like a laundry list of like things that have happened since we broke up that I'm just like so beyond grateful for, that I couldn't have even imagined. People that have come into my life, people that I started talking to again that I didn't talk to in 2 years. Like, my life is just unfolding in a way I couldn't even imagine. But it's so beautiful and it's so peaceful and it feels like it's mine. I think about on a daily basis who I am in this world and what I'm doing and what my future is going to look like because of the things I'm doing now. My biggest concern is always what I'm doing for my future self. What am I doing to ensure the happiness and security for my future self? And keeping myself in a cycle like that would only, you know, just tear me down even more. By letting it go, I've discovered so many different things about myself. One of them being literally just how to be alone. And listen, if you're an only child, you're probably like, girl, shut the fuck up. Like, it's not that serious. And I get it, but I have always been somebody that, A, I have 3 siblings. B, I have a full house at all times. I have 4 dogs. It's always chaotic here. And C, growing up, I legit could not be alone. Like, I was always asking all of my friends, like, what they were doing. Like, can we make plans? can we hang out? Like, if this friend couldn't, I'd go to that friend. If that friend couldn't, I would go to another friend. Like, being alone was like the absolute last option. Now I prefer it, which is like crazy, like wild. Like this right now is like my ideal night. Like sitting at home, chilling in my room, glass of wine from Snoop Dogg. I have my pen in hand. I have Carmex. Life is great. I could have never imagined, especially 2 years ago, that like I'd be so cool with this. Like I'd be so content with just being in my own energy. But it's crazy how when things, certain situations happen in life, for me it was my breakup, it's like you don't even realize how much it changes you and how much it transforms like your entire life until like you have those little moments where it's like almost like feelings or little like thoughts that pop up into your head and you're like, wait, hold on. And then you start seeing things from like a bird's eye view. Like you just start seeing the bigger picture of it all. I guess my point of all of this is just because you're bored and just because life feels different and a little weird does not mean that that's a bad thing. You might not even be bored. You might just be at peace. And that's one thing I had to realize. When you go from spending every single day with someone, always having someone to lay with you and make you laugh and show you affection, like when you always have someone when you go from that to literally being alone and going to like little to no affection from other people, literally having to like fill your own cup, it's a drastic change and it feels like nothing will measure up to it. How can you compare your own like showing yourself love to somebody else showing you love? It's almost like it doesn't compare. But it's such a beautiful thing when you start showing yourself love and showing yourself that attention. Because it's like you're literally the only one that can bring in blessings into your life and good things and high vibrational things. Excuse me. You are the only person that can like bring that into your life and attract that into your life. So when you start loving yourself and showing yourself that love that you are like craving from other people, you are at the same time just bringing great things into your life, manifesting amazing things. Great things happen when you're alone. And when you use your time alone in a way that resonates with you and makes you feel good, amazing things can come from it. And then you start growing and you start feeling amazing about yourself. Like, it's crazy. I'm not going to sit here and say it happened overnight because it for sure didn't, but it's just like, I will literally think about how I felt in like October, November, and then like versus how I feel now, and then I'm just like I am so much more mentally stable. Like, I booked a trip to, I'm not going to say exactly where it is because that's a little scary, but I booked a trip to a beach at the end of the month. I will be there for a week by myself. So that is also another thing that like I would have never ever considered. I would have never considered doing that. Dude, probably a few months ago I would have never considered that. But I don't know, girl. Something happened. February, March, April, I don't know. I'm just like sprouting, like coming out of my shell. Like I don't even know what's happening. But I got the cojones to book a flight one day, booked an Airbnb, and this bitch is going to a beach at the end of May, and I'm gonna be living it up, reading books, going shopping, drinking wine, making TikToks. I'm gonna be doing literally everything I love to do alone, but on a beach. And I am so excited. I know it's gonna be a little scary at times. I have never flown alone, y'all. I have never flown alone. And I will be flying alone to and from. And I'm nervous. I am nervous. But I've flown enough with other people to like know how it goes and know to like what to expect. I've also flown to this particular beach before. I've traveled there a few times already. So like I'm pretty familiar with the area. I'm like really confident that it's gonna be a great time and I'm gonna have so much fun. And as nervous as I may be to like be alone on like the flight and stuff, I know that it's gonna be fine. Like everything else, like once I start doing it, I'll be fine. And I just know I'm gonna feel so proud of myself and I'm gonna feel like that fucking bitch. And I guess that's just to say, like, as time goes on, you start to want different things and you start to gain more trust in yourself and your abilities, whether that's your ability to be alone, your ability to meet new people, your ability to leave toxic relationships. You start trusting yourself based on those abilities. And I have always wanted to travel alone. I don't mean to sound like a broken record. If you know me and talk to me, you know I love Emma Chamberlain. She is my queen for life. She has been traveling alone probably since she was like 17 years old. She is one of my biggest inspirations, and she's the one person I've been thinking about the most since I booked my flight, is just like thinking about how many times she's done that alone and how many times she's traveled somewhere by herself and just had the best time. That is just something that I A, know that I can do, and B, know that I will love doing. And I just don't think I would have done this if I was still in that relationship I was in, or if we hadn't broken up. Like, I just don't know if this is what would be happening. It actually, I would probably say there's a 99% chance that it would absolutely not be happening. But everything happens for a reason, and I'm just so glad with the way my life is unfolding and the way that I am doing good things for myself that are attracting other good things. I just want to keep spreading that like knowledge and positivity to other people in case there's anybody out there who's maybe struggling with something similar, or maybe they just kind of recently went through something similar, or whatever the case may be. It's helpful to know that, I know it's cheesy, but like life gets better. As hard as it may be to like let something go that you love so much as you know it's gonna be a fucking pain in the ass and it's gonna hurt so much, it's like the universe literally rewards you for doing those hard to do things. I feel like that's just a really helpful thing to know. This is definitely something I love talking about, and I probably will be talking about more because it's one of the only things I've really dealt with in my life, and I'm very grateful to say that because I'm 21 years old and this breakup was probably the worst thing I've ever had to deal with in my life, and not many people can say that. Like, and I am blessed to say that having my heart broken by a man is like the most of my worries in life. But it's something that I want people to know about, and I want people to, people who are dealing with something similar to like think about and remember. For a lot of that, I felt like I was alone when I was in the relationship and I was trying to heal from the stuff that happened prior, and when I broke up with him, all of that was just so lonely. And I think that was another reason why I gained my independence so fast, almost in a way, was because I kind of had to nurse myself through that. Like, I didn't really feel like anybody understood. It was something I just had to think through and talk to myself about, like legit, fully in my room or in the car, just like talking to myself, because that was like healing for me. I just think it's important for people to know and to hear. I hope you guys had an amazing night. I hope you guys, or day, or morning, whatever. Yeah, I appreciate you guys listening and sitting down with me. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.